Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Hello, this is John Palmer, and I'm listening.
Been watching too much, what was it, Frasier?
Yeah.
I'm listening, yes. Yes. You're listening, and you're listening to, hopefully other people are listening besides you. You're listening to a live Q&A show for Brew Strong. We actually do these just about every third episode becomes a live Q&A, and the reason we do this is because
we get tons of questions.
We get lots of questions, and if you were to wait for us to answer them in shows, one by one, it would be, in the year 3000 before we actually caught up. So we like to do some quick short questions, knock them out while we can. And who pays for this? So you can have access to us to answer these questions. You can chat live and ask these questions live. Just go to thebrewingnetwork.com and there's a chat now button. Jump on there. You can Justin's moderating. He'll get your questions and he'll ask them, and there you go.
Use small words.
Type slowly. Type phonetically. But, the whole reason that this is possible, well, one of the reasons this is possible is Blickman Engineering. John Blickman decided to sponsor the show, so he's actually paying for the show, so you don't have to. He's providing the funds that help, keep the lights on, the board operating, and Justin with plenty of ramen and condoms. So that's one of the reasons that you should go to blickmanengineering.com. Check that out. Send them an email. Tell them that you appreciate that they do this for us. And, while you're there, check out the gear they got. If you haven't seen Blickman Engineering equipment before, you'll be surprised. It's great stuff and beautifully engineered.
I brewed on it.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to brew on it. I just need to put it together. I need to get my act together. I need to stop traveling is what I need to stop doing. And, it's great equipment, and something that you're going to want to check out. They got brew systems, they got fermenters, they got chillers, they got bottling devices, they got neat little things to you can brew a Pliny the Elder clone and with pellets and come out with clear wort. And they got the hop blocker. They got great thing they were showing at the conference, the hop rocket. A hop jack.
Mm-hmm.
And that looked really exciting as well. So lots of great stuff coming up Blickman Engineering. Check them out. Help support them because they support us, which gives you the show. So nice to at least send them some kind words. They do appreciate it. They like hearing that the money they're spending is at least appreciated. Even if you're not going to buy something, it's nice to just say thank you.
They're beer geeks like the rest of us, so
yeah,
they're always happy to hear from you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they kind of enjoy being the sponsor of this show.
Oh, they do very much. I mean, well, you saw them at NHC when they were there with myself, and John had a full top tier system out, and he was out back parking lot brewing on it, and had quite a crowd. Even John Meyer was there from Rogue, right? And checking out.
And John Blickman is such a nice, polite, serious, intelligent, well-spoken guy. When you see him at these things.
Goofball, yeah.
He's when he gets a chance to relax, he's a total goofball.
Yeah, I was going to say, he is really nice and polite, but if you hang out with him just long enough, you'll get a dick joke or something, Yeah, just long enough.
Just cracks me up. Yeah. I love that guy. He's hilarious. All right, so this is the Q&A show, and what we're going to do is answer your questions. Before we kick off with the ones that you've got, Justin, I got one here. I don't know if the guy. I told the guy to call in, but I don't know if he's in the chat. This was Mark. He sent me an email saying basically loves the show, and he said. You're pronouncing acetaldehyde
Acetaldehyde
as acetaldehyde, which is there's no
acetaldehyde.
Right, we're throwing in an extra syllable there, which is correct. We're and I've known this for some time, and I keep doing it. It's like diacetyl instead of saying diacetyl. It's like so many things.
So what's the correct?
So acetaldehyde.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to be able to do that. That's difficult. By the way, he's in the chat and told me to remind you of this question as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm leading off with this bad boy.
Yeah.
He says, "You frickin' moron. You suck.
Yeah.
The words coming out of your mouth are wrong. Yeah, keep up the good work." He ends with. No.
Say it for me again.
Acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde?
Uh-huh.
It doesn't even seem like that's how it's spelled. Let me look at it here.
Okay, so...
Oh, it is how it's spelled, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard it pronounced acetaldehyde, too.
Uh-huh. Well, and...
oh, yeah, we're adding a whole other thing. Now I see it.
It's
a combination. Is this acetic aldehyde is another name for it. Acetic aldehyde. Yeah. So it's a combination of the two words. And you'd think it would be like acetaldehyde or something, but it's acetaldehyde.
Okay.
Is one of the accepted pronunciations.
I'm going to practice that.
Yeah. Oh, so the first one is like assa. So ass.
Oh, why didn't you say so?
Now
I got it down.
And so we've been screwing this up for so long, and it's like it was quite a while ago. I knew I was mispronouncing it, and I just kept on going. And same thing, like I said, with diacetyl and diacetyl. What am I saying?
So diacetyl is also the right way to say it,
right? And diacetyl, diacetyl is probably the what I'm told is the correct pronunciation, and we've just said diacetyl for so long that
right.
So many people said diacetyl for so long that nobody blinks when you say diacetyl. But it should be diacetyl and it should be acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde.
Yes.
Okay.
No, you're throwing in an extra al in there. Al is not an asshat.
Acetaldehyde.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow. By George, he's got it.
Trying.
So thanks, Mark. You're 100% correct. And, what can I say? We're just a couple asshats here doing what we're doing.
There's one in the forum now about Amarillo hops because of the 2L and because it's Amarillo. And the guy's going nuts. He's like, if I have to hear one more person say Amarillo, I'm going to go nuts because it's not actually a Spanish name. And it's Amarillo.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, at least we got that one right.
Right. That one we got right.
And the Willamette Valley?
Yeah.
Okay. And people say Willamette?
Right. Is it Willamette? It's Willamette.
It's Willamette.
Right.
Not Willamette.
Right.
There's so many of these things. And, it's in a way, it's okay. It's a language which is ever changing, and how people use it. That's how words have changed over the years.
Framboise.
Right. Yeah, if we all had to do that correctly.
That's the lambic you get out in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
Under Framboise.
I have learned that it's Raleigh and not Raleigh, North Carolina.
Were you saying Raleigh?
I was always saying Raleigh.
Really?
Like a moron.
Wow, yeah, that is pretty moronic.
Yeah.
No, but and what was it? Elysian? What was I saying?
Oh, yeah, you were doing Elysian. Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Well, that was horrible.
I almost pronounced it as Sanjoaquin.
Sanjoaquin.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Mark.
Very good.
You're correct, and we will clean up our act and stop doing that, probably. We'll give it a try. At least through this segment, we'll say it correctly.
Right.
Through the rest of the segment. Okay, time to take a break. And when we come back, we'll have more of your questions in this fine and dandy live Q&A on Brew Strong. Back after this.
When you hear Blickman Engineering, think innovation, passion, quality, and customer service. Blickman gear is designed by brewers to give you a sense of pride in your equipment. At Blickman, they know what makes brewing a pain and build gear that makes it fun. Like the intuitive beer gun, a completely different approach to filling bottles. The Therminator Wort Chiller, a new take on a plate chiller that's sized for flow, performance, and the high groundwater temps homebrewers face every day. The Brewmometer, a brilliant weldless thermometer design with brewing parameters right on the dial. The Autosparge, ultimate simplicity for preventing an overflow or running your mash tun dry. And much more, like the modular top-tier brewing stand, conical fermenters, and their Boilermaker brew pots. With more cutting-edge equipment coming soon. Keep up with the latest from Blickman at blickmanengineering.com and stay on the cutting edge.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Cut hours off your brewing sessions by using one of our 11 varieties of famous Williams malt extract. Our Williams Belgian Pale Extract is mashed with pure Belgian two-row malt and a small percentage of Belgian wheat malt for an authentic Belgian character you just can't get from other extracts. Or check out our unique fermenters, 2.5-gallon kegs, paintball tank-based draft beer equipment, bottling aids, and much more. We even have our own line of precision hydrometers. Go to williamsbrewing.com to browse our vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time ship the same day. Brewing is easy. The Williams way. Downtown Joe's, located in the historic Oberon building in beautiful downtown Napa, California, offers an award-winning brew pub experience from 8:30 a.m. to 1 a.m. every day. For 15 years at the corner of 2nd and Main, Downtown Joe's has been voted Best Night Spot 7 times and Best Brew Pub for the last 4 years in a row. Brewmaster Colin Kaminsky's handcrafted ales, like his Tail Wagon Amber Ale and Double Secret Probation IPA, are the perfect accent to riverside dining, live music, and a relaxing outdoor patio. Don't miss the Beer of the Month, special rotating taps, and the BN Army Member Special. Wear your BN gear, get 10% off your beer. Visit downtownjoes.com to make reservations, peruse their extensive calendar of events, or just read more about their fantastic beers. Come enjoy the fine beer, food, and music. Downtown Joe's, the award-winning brew pub where you'll feel at home.
And now, Northern Brewer brings you another installment of The Time Brewers. When last we left our heroes, they found themselves in 1842 in the province of Bohemia.
Yo, this era jerky. All the beers is murky.
What ho, friends, a male alewife.
I don't know what I'm doing, so I got this dark malt, yeah? More stinky dark beer, yeah.
No, sir. Please, wait. Just a moment.
Aye, a package from the future from Northern Brewer.
Use the Pilsner malt, my good man. And these Sots hops, sucker. They ain't noble like Queen Victoria, but you can use Sterling from Portland to Astoria. Let your wort caramelize and let melanoidins harmonize in a long boil. Keep your starter under cover with aluminum foil. Boo.
And useth thou some bog myrtle.
Northern Brewer is your one-stop homebrew supplier throughout the entire Fermento chronosphere. The widest selection of quality malt, hops, yeast, $7.99 flat rate shipping, and get your nasty-ass bog myrtle back to the dark ages, Brother Abelard.
Hey, this golden lager with the happy hops pretty damn good. Thanks, Time Brewers. Thanks, Northern Brewer.
Our work here is done, my friends. Now, to wherever we are next needed.
Tune in next time for the continuing adventures of the Time Brewers.
Hilo, what's it feel like?
Take awesome and multiply it by 2.
Yeah! Spraying live beer radio all over your face.
Can't get any better than this, baby.
It's the Brewing Network.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
We're back. Live Q&A. We're having beer. And since this is the third show of the day, we've had plenty of beer.
Yes.
All right.
And Gatorade.
Yep. So we do these shows live. All the Brewing Network production is all done live, and you hear it, and it doesn't get edited down. It's, what you hear is what you get. So you can also participate in this. For all the shows on the Brewing Network, you can actually go to thebrewingnetwork.com. There's a chat now button, and you can listen live, and you get in there. You don't have to enter a password or anything. You can type in any screen name you want and join in, and it's moderated chat, and you can add feedback into the show. The Sunday session, they have a call screener so they can take live calls on the 888-401-BEER number. And it's a chance for you to participate in the shows and make the shows a big part of what you're interested in. Different than shows where it's all canned and edited. This one is done live. So all the Brewing Network, that's a big part of what we do. And it's great to have you participate. So you can send in emails to brewstrong@thebrewingnetwork.com. You can get in the chat and interact live. You can, do all that stuff. You can leave them on the request line, whatever you like. All right. Our first question.
Okay. Bob wrote in this week. He says, say you want to have a nice IPA with a good hop presence, ready to go when your next tap opens up. But you just don't know when that tap's going to be free. So he wants to know, are there any secrets to brewing and storing a keg of IPA so that the hops don't fall out of suspension while the keg waits its turn? Should I do it upside down? Should I store it upside down? Should I shake it frequently? Any suggestions to keep that IPA fresh?
Add cement. They won't move at all.
Perfect.
It's not really the hops physically dropping out and forming a layer. It's more leaving solution. And that's the issue. It's not like particles dropping up, but they leave solution. They become particles that maybe they drop out. And it's also the kind of dulling of the flavors, the oxidation of the beer. Especially IPAs tend to be fairly pale beer, and pale beers just don't do that well as far as long-term storage. The colder you store it, the better it should be. If you want a beer like that, you really want to drink it soon rather than later. The thing I would do is store it cold, limit the amount of oxygen pickup throughout your process. If you're the more oxygen you add, the worse off that beer is going to be. So the more you can restrain oxygen, the better. Cleanliness is good as well. And then before, right as you're going to go ahead and put it on, add some dry hops to it.
Yeah,
that's what I was add them in a sack or whatever, or even loose. But if you do some dry hops right before, a day or two before serving, let it get started and leave them in there through serving, it'll add some bright hop characters, some fresher hop characters to the beer. So that'll help kind of mitigate the delay. Still, I wouldn't wait more than let's say a month tops on that IPA, because they just don't do well with long-term storage, I think.
And it's okay to do that dry hop, even if you've already dry hopped it when you were...
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Doesn't add a...
No.
Okay.
Dry hopping is like dry humping. You just can't do it too much.
No, always do it. As long as you're not chafing.
All right.
And then Bob just wants you guys to know that he bought a 3-tier system based on your talks about it, and he loves it. So thanks for introducing him to it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a great system.
All right, here's
Make
one
sure
from...
You let Blickman know.
Yeah.
Send him an email.
Let him know that Jay-Z sold it to you. All right, Tom.
I expect my commission.
Right. Tom wrote in, love the show, both for entertainment and beer info. I'm a new extract brewer. and I have a concern. My last 2 batches have a bicarbonate taste to them, and I'm sure it's not right. He says the beer's not overcarbonated, yet you get that feeling in your mouth when you drink it. It is drinkable, and it tends to mellow with time, but still, 2 to 3 months later, it's there. He said the first beer was a Belgian blonde, and the second a Petite Saison. It's got a little more. In the first, I used tap water, and I ran it through a carbon filter. And in the second, I used distilled bottled water. Follow the directions very closely. Try to be as clean as possible. Chill the wort with an immersion chiller. Firm temps are in the mid to high end, but within the range the kit specifies. Are there any typical things that can cause these off flavors? Tom.
I guess he's describing it as a bicarbonate flavor?
Yeah, that's his only description, too.
See, I wonder if he's not talking about like a fizzy kind of, you know.
Like a soda water?
Right. And I'm wondering if it's not possibly wild yeast or a bacterial, kind of thinning it out, making it fizzy and large bubbles.
Yeah, that could be. If that's what he means, like a soda water kind of thing, yeah.
So nothing other than carbonation level, you're saying, could cause this?
Well, yeah, contamination.
No. Okay.
Yeah. There's 2 things.
Thins it out.
Yeah. What Jamil said as far as a wild yeast infection, where with time the wild yeast eats up all the fermentable sugars and long chain dextrins, so that you end up with carbonated water with not a lot of beer flavor left. If it is like a purely a mineral thing, like he said he used distilled water or bottled water, then I wouldn't expect a heavy mineral taste to come through unless it's something metallic, say from the keg he's using or something, some residual there. But I wouldn't describe that as a bicarbonate taste. So I think, Jamil, you probably got it with the wild yeast contamination, and that's probably coming from his racking cane or equipment somewhere where he's introducing that, and then
bottling.
Bottling.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard to know for sure without tasting the beer. But we've seen so many things and tasted so many beers that I think we have a pretty good guess a lot of times in interpreting people's interpretations of what they are detecting and then just kind of guessing, So it's a guess, but an educated one, I think.
Okay. All right, another question came through from Metal Tiger, and actually could have fit in our high gravity shows too. He wants to know, do you recommend adding sugar to increase fermentability in a wort that's already over 1080?
Yes, but all right. So, increasing fermentability. Here's the tricky thing. I think I'm not sure that he's misunderstood this, but people had in the past where we've said you can, add simple sugars to, get a more fermentable wort. Well, so people think, well, I take my recipe, whatever it is, and then I add simple sugar, and then it makes it more fermentable. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. Really what you want to do, if you're comparing fermentability, you have your all-grain beer, right? And it's 1080. If you ferment that out, it'll attenuate a certain amount. If you remove a portion of the malt and add back enough simple sugars to, again, be at 1080, that should be more fermentable than the all-grain version. So that's what we mean by using simple sugars to increase fermentability. And especially in a beer over 1080, I would try to make sure a portion of the grain bill or the recipe is simple sugars for a portion of that gravity, because it will help it attenuate better. And there's already plenty of flavor and proteins and stuff like that in those with the substantial amount of malt you're already using. Do you have anything to add to that one, John?
No, I I agree completely. Yeah. If you're exactly what you said, if you're got a 1080 beer, what you want to do is remove 2 pounds of malt extract and substitute 2 pounds of sugar, or 1 pound. And increase the fermentability, enlighten the body that way, rather than taking a 1080 beer and adding another pound of white sugar to it. That will change. That'll increase the fermentability, yes, but it'll also change the character of the beer that you were shooting for.
And it also increases the starting gravity. So that's why you need to remove some sugars before you add some sugars. So
right.
You want to change the type of sugars that are available overall.
Yeah, not the total amount.
Right.
All right.
Great.
Now, a few guys in the chat room, Bug Eater included, Metal Tiger, have been talking about adding either expired yeast or a bit of your yeast slurry to the end of your boil to use as a yeast nutrient. So they wanted to know your thoughts on using an expired yeast, and have you ever done it? And same with the slurry, and if you did, how much?
Right. Yeah, you can do that. A couple, a tablespoon or so. Several teaspoons. That's probably about right for your average 5-gallon, 19-liter batch. The thing is, a lot of those yeasts at that point, they may be nutrient poor at that time, and they may not have enough zinc in them. Things like Cervomyces, they grow them in a very zinc rich environment. That's why it has enough zinc to provide the zinc you need. So if you're doing that, I would still add a zinc supplement. But I think using that kind of nutrient is fine. That used to be a real common practice for a lot of home brewers, and still is, I guess, for quite a few.
I've done it with my yeast starters.
Okay, and the yeast nutrient that you can get is relatively cheap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Servo's a little pricey because the zinc is supposedly more bioavailable because of the process of getting the yeast to take it up in the first place.
Okay,
and then so it's supposedly more effective. It's a little trickier, and there's patents on it, so it's a little more pricey. But still, the cost per batch is so cheap that it's effective. If you want to do zinc separately, you can get zinc supplements at the health food store and things like that, and you can use those. In the new yeast book coming out, we tell you how much you want to use.
Great.
Those zinc supplements, depending on the supplement. All right, why don't we take a short break, and when we come back, we'll get to more of your questions right after this.
Hi, this is Push from the Brewing Network, and I want to tell you about the Brewmaster's Warehouse and how you can get 10% off your next order. I'm a pretty techie guy, but I've never seen an online store like this. It's awesome. Go to brewmasterswarehouse.com and click on Brew Builder. You can whip up a custom recipe so easily even Sven could do it. Seriously, it's slick. You can share your recipe with your own logo and notes to the Brewmaster's database if you want. And the best part, it keeps a running tally of the beer you're building while you're doing it. Then bam, click Buy Recipe and your cart is filled and ready to go with helpful suggestions in case you forgot something. This thing is amazing. Brewmaster's Warehouse is run the way a home brewer would do it, with great service, fast turnaround, and $6.99 flat rate shipping. Brewmaster's Warehouse and the Brew Builder blew me away. Check it out today at brewmasterswarehouse.com. I'm serious. And don't forget to put BNARMY in the discount code box for 10% off your order. Check out brewmasterswarehouse.com. Cheers.
Do you support the Brewing Network? Do you brew your own? Are you looking for an economical, fun, and legal way to do both? Subscribe to Brew Your Own magazine and do just that. All year long, Brew Your Own will surprise you, entertain you, and educate you with articles on beer and brewing from authors like the Brewing Network's very own Jamel Zalashev and John Palmer. Each issue is a full pint of brewing techniques, homebrew stories, tips and photos, projects to make yourself, and recipes for the avid home brewer. Get your tough questions answered by Mr. Wizard and polish your style accuracy with Jamel. A portion of every subscription goes to the Brewing Network, so subscribe today at byo.com/Brewing Network, or just click the BYO logo on the Brewing Network homepage and support a fantastic hobby and your favorite broadcaster. Brew Your Own, the how-to homebrew beer magazine.
When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a Certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious, Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Hey, Push, the new brewery's looking good.
Thanks, Finn. Piece by piece.
Well, let's fire her up. Whoa! Is that a new kettle?
Yeah, just got it brand new, but paid half price.
What? And that blade scale?
40% off.
The new tap handle?
$5 instead of $13. Got a new regulator for the brew stand, too, but $5 instead of $25.
Dude, where are you stealing all this stuff from?
Where else? The More Beer deal of the day.
Announcing the Beer, and More Beer deal of the day. Every day, a new fantastic deal from big items to small that will blow you away. Boil kettles, carboy carriers, sterile siphon starters, digital timers. Watch morebeer.com every day for a new deal, and you just might find the item you've been waiting for at a price you cannot believe. Hurry, because stock is limited on most items.
And that sweet Guinness cap, let me guess.
The More Beer deal of the day.
Yeah, I knew it. Come on, let's brew something. Find the More Beer deal of the day at morebeer.com. Celebrity voices impersonated.
You're listening to the Brewing Network.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew strong.
All right, we're back. We're doing a live Q&A session here on the Brew Strong Show. Next question up, Justin.
All right. It's a question about your brewing classic styles.
Fine classic book by John Palmer and myself.
Available signed in the store right now.
Available in the Brewing Network store.
Yeah, How to Brew is available there too, but not signed because I haven't had Palmer up here in a little while.
Just tell the truth. Palmer doesn't want to sign books for this. For the cretins that listen.
Yeah, he's done.
Calls them cretins. Just doesn't like our listeners. So let's just stop playing around.
The question is about your saison recipe in Classic Styles. He says there is sugar in the extract paragraph written in the book, but it does not mention where in the process this goes. Can you tell me? Boil, firm.
Right. I tend, in the saison, I tend to throw it into the boil kettle, and last few minutes of the boil. You could really throw it in earlier. You could, do it at any point in the boil you want, and you could put it in the fermenter later on. Each will give you a very slightly different result. The advantage to putting it in the boil is you don't have to worry about sanitizing. You don't have to do anything later on. It's all in there. It's not that much simple sugar that it's a problem. If you're having trouble getting it to attenuate fully, that recipe, then what I'd say is go ahead and hold back the sugar. Start your fermentation once it's just right around good into high Kreuzen or a little bit past that. You can go ahead and start throwing in the simple sugars, a little bit every other day or something like that, or every day, and you should get it to ferment out nice and fully. It'll help.
Okay. And quickly, Jay-Z, pronounce the word that we discussed at the beginning of the show.
Acetaldehyde.
Yeah, all right. Good. I'm going to test you both, Palmer. You better be on your toes. Okay.
Acetaldehyde.
Perfect. All right. I can't pronounce this person's name, as a matter of fact. Sewellword is in the chat room.
Oh, gee, great. We were doing so great on pronunciation.
And then I get Sewellword. Okay, going back to your discussion on brewing high-gravity beers and then diluting them that we did on the last episode. What are the best styles that you think would be good to brew this way for dilution? Do you guys have any opinion on that?
The best would probably be like American Light Lager.
Yeah.
And American Lager.
Mm-hmm. Could you do a Pilsner?
Well, you could, but, just because that is, I think de facto part of the style. So if you're really trying to brew, a great example of those styles, then I think that's an advantage there.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't know. One thing that I don't think we made clear on that show, and Tasty and I were talking afterwards, was, when you're doing this, you don't necessarily have to dilute the beer by, 50%.
Yeah.
You don't, you could do 10%, 20%, whatever it would be, just to goose up your production volume without having a major impact in body and head and things like that. Tasty was saying, oh yeah, he says, when I do 50, that is like the extreme. He goes, I rarely do that.
Okay.
So, it's when he gets, somebody like you where he doesn't want to really give you beer and wants to give you water instead,
That makes
something
sense.
like that.
He needs to now that Chad's gone.
Right.
Brewing somewhere else.
Yeah, see? I knew you'd miss Chad.
For something.
Right. With the brewing, whether it's the warm snuggles at night.
It's a little of both, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris from Pennsylvania wrote in, and by the way, you can always email your Q&A questions to brewstrong@thebrewingnetwork.com or join us in the chat room and ask him that way. His question is related to brake material and separating that post-boil. He says, my current process is that I immediately begin chilling with an immersion chiller at knockout while the wort is still in the boil kettle. I get a massive amount of material that doesn't really ever settle out, even after 30 minutes or so. So what I've begun doing is running the chilled wort through very fine mesh bags as a filter to catch the hot material. And I don't know if it's really even catching the brake material. So I'm looking for a better way to improve this portion of my process, if there is one. So any way to get rid of the cold break material?
It's really odd that it won't settle. That sounds strange to me. It should settle. Given time, it definitely should settle, and then just run it off very carefully. It's very difficult to filter out brake material with a mesh because it really just breaks up and just goes right through. It's very fine materials, kind of loosely coagulated together. You might get some, but I don't know that you're really going to get that much out of it. Even if you get all that visible breakout, there's still plenty of that material in there. Any thoughts on this, John?
No, I think in terms of good fermentation performance, you want some of the brake material in there.
Yeah, but there's just plenty.
Tons,
even if you remove all the visible, there's still lots more.
I think if you just whirlpool and go for it, I mean, I really wouldn't try. I wouldn't get obsessed with trying to filter it out.
Right. That's probably causing more problems with oxidation, contamination than it's worth. I would before I tried running it through a bag, I would just transfer it all to the fermenter.
Yeah.
I would just go with that instead.
Yeah.
One of the problems with the brake material is if you're trying to repitch the yeast, you end up with a lot of that brake material mixed in with the yeast, and it's not so great for the yeast health for repitching. But other than that, it's especially in ales, things like that, I don't think it really matters.
Yeah. I mean, if that fermentation is going to sit for a long time, if you get lazy and leave it on the trub for a month or more, then the more brake material is in there, then the more off flavors you're going to develop. But if if it all goes in the fermenter and you ferment it and and monitor that fermentation and get it out of the fermenter when it's done and into a keg or into bottles, you're not going to have a problem with it.
Yeah. It's not gonna be... Now, are we going to say trub or trube? You're saying
I like saying trub.
Yeah, see, I still go with trube.
But we don't know the correct way, do we?
Yeah, well, I don't pronounce French words right either. So.
Technically, it's trube. Yeah. You know, it's a German word, I guess.
Someone else, similar, because I think it could be said either way, Palmer was correcting you on draft. Because is it draft or draught?
Right. You can say either one.
You can, right?
Yeah.
These weird ones.
And this is America, damn it.
America.
Now, is it America or America?
Well, it depends on how much you mean it. If you really mean it, it's America.
How far south you are, and how much PBR you had.
That's exactly right. I've only had half a glass, so it's still America.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Kim Wood was in the chat room for a bit and says she's got a homemade stir plate, and it's pretty weak. It barely gets a little dimple before throwing the bar off.
Oh,
maybe her magnet's
talking about wood.
Weak.
No. She's talking about Andy?
Yeah, she might be. Yeah.
It's weak and
barely
throws
gets
the bar?
Yeah. Quickly.
He's got cute dimples, though.
What she wants to know is, can I still use all the same settings on the Mr. Multi pitching rate calculator, or do I have to adjust for this very slow stir, I think is what she's saying.
Slow ride.
Well, so she's getting a dimple?
I think she's getting a dimple. Well, barely getting a dimple, and then it throws the rod.
Well, yeah.
But if there's a dimple, it's fine, right?
Yeah. That's fine.
Even if it's a tiny dimple you've said in the past, I think.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
If you see any sort of deflection of the surface, then that's plenty.
Okay.
And, she just probably needs better magnets.
Right.
You tell her to come over by my place late some night.
Where a real man has magnets.
Real man has magnets that'll pull her dimple like you wouldn't believe.
Okay. I'll tell her.
Won't throw her bar or anything.
All right. I was supposed to cup your nuts for her, too, but I refused.
Yeah.
I'm sure
That's Kim.
You appreciate that. Okay. Vitamin T is in the chat room, and he says he just bought a Blickman Top Tier.
Nice.
Attaboy. And he started using Herms for his mash.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But he's having issues maintaining the mash temperature. He's using a Ranco controller on his pump.
Mm-hmm.
Do you and Palmer have any tips about how he can help maintain his mash temperature using his Herms system?
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of people talk about, insulation, things like that. If you are working in a really cold area, insulating the hoses that you're using to run your wort out and through the heat exchanger and back, just get some that foam hose pipe insulation that slip it over the hoses, and that'll make a huge difference in heat loss during recirculation. And you can insulate the outside of the kettles, but the pots, but I wouldn't bother the heat. So the tubing, and then you want to dial in wherever your hot liquor that you're using for your heat exchanger. You want to have that at the right temperature. So usually you want to keep that about, it depends on so many different factors, but if you're keeping it 10 degrees or 15 degrees hotter than your target temperature for your mash, that should allow you to do a lot of recirculation and be able to maintain temperature no problem. If you go cooler than that, then it's going to lag and it's going to have a hard time keeping up. If you go hotter than that, 15 is about the limit usually. If you go hotter than that, what happens is the temperature in the mash will wildly swing. It'll just, it'll look like, temperature's not going up, and then all of a sudden you're past it by 5 degrees.
I've had that.
Yeah, and then you'll let it cool down, and then all of a sudden it's really cold because as the liquid goes through. So you want a temperature that will allow you to run the recirculation very frequently, and if you get it right, it'll stick right on the temp. You won't even be varying a degree. So it's finding the right hot liquor tank temp. Insulate those hoses if you're in an area that's not warm during the day when you're brewing. So that's my tips. John, you got any?
No, I haven't done Herms.
What is your rims on your top tier?
Yeah, I'm rims. Yeah.
What's the difference for those who?
I heat the wort with the flame.
Okay.
And whereas instead of using the hot water to heat the wort.
Okay. All right.
No, direct heating versus indirect heating.
Okay.
Essentially what it boils down to.
All right. Another question for you guys. This came through from Dwight in Indiana. He's new to home brewing and following a 5-gallon extract kit recipe. But he's kind of making some changes. He wants to expedite his learning curve. And so this question is about hop utilization. He plans on splitting his 5-gallon extract kit, which was designed to boil as a partial 2.5-gallon batch. He's going to instead split that into 2 full boil 2.5-gallon batches. Then he's going to split that again when he's done into 2 1.25-gallon fermentations so that he can explore different yeasts, etc. So he says the kit calls out their specific hop schedule, but I know, he says, I get better hop utilization going with a full boil. I've also heard I'll get worse utilization with a smaller batch size, like a smaller kettle or higher percentage of boil off.
Yeah.
So is there a percentage of change in the hops that I should shoot for since he's scaling this in half with his beers? Does he need to adjust that way? Or just
Well, I would say that if he looks at the gravity of his boil, if he's instead of doing all the extract in a 2.5-gallon boil, now he's doing in essence a full volume boil, with a lower boiling gravity by putting half the extract into 2.5 pots each. I think that should account for most of his increased utilization by going with the lower gravity boil. The amount of alpha that is going to be lost by the increased surface area from the use of the smaller pots and the smaller batch sizes, hard to quantify. There hasn't been a model to cover that yet. So I would from a black box point of view, go with the factor, look at the decrease in boil gravity, a function of the increase in utilization, and use that as your measuring.
Yeah, the other factor is going to be much smaller, I think. So I would just adjust for gravity and maybe fudge it a little bit towards the the high end.
And if I could just say, Mr. New Brewing Guy, settle down with the learning everything at once. You're going to get to it. It'll be fine. You don't have to learn everything in one batch and split it into,
Go with Justin's model. Learn nothing all the time.
All the time. And eventually you'll still have learned nothing. Try that. See how that works for you. Okay, another quick question. Brian wrote in to Jay-Z, love the book, Classic Styles, and I'm going to do Mr. Maltonator next. It says in the recipe to use 9L Munich LME, and then in the all-grain part it says to use just Munich. I'm going to be using Wireman because that's what my local homebrew shop carries.
Is it Wireman or Vireman?
It's Vireman is what it should be.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
You see, we're all being sloppy.
He says, I assume I should use Vireman Munich 2 since the color is closer to 9L than Munich 1. What do you think?
Yeah.
Go for that?
Yep.
Stick with the lava bond.
Sure.
Okay.
Generally, the extracts are a little darker than the grains. So you want to pick just a notch or two down. It depends on how they've produced it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think.
And by the way, if you're looking for Munich malt extract in the U.S., Brees makes Munich malt extract. So have your homebrew shop try sourcing it from Brees, and they can get it from there, or Wireman.
You mean Vireman?
Vireman, yeah.
Oh, good, because I didn't know.
Okay. Well, let's take a short break and a couple questions to wrap it up after this.
The cutting-edge equipment from Blickman Engineering is designed by brewers to make your brew day shorter, more enjoyable, and to give you a sense of pride in your equipment. At Blickman, they know what makes brewing a pain and build gear that makes it fun. Like the intuitive beer gun, a completely different approach to filling bottles. The Therminator Wort Chiller, a new take on a plate chiller that's sized for flow, performance, and the high groundwater temps homebrewers face every day. The Brewmometer, a brilliant weldless thermometer design with brewing parameters right on the dial. The Autosparge, ultimate simplicity for preventing an overflow or running your mash tun dry. And much more, like the modular top-tier brewing stand, conical fermenters, and their Boilermaker brew pots. With more cutting-edge equipment coming soon, keep up with the latest from Blickman at blickmanengineering.com and stay on the cutting edge.
Whether I'm making me dry stout or rebuilding me kegs, I head to the heart of dear Dublin for me homebrewing supplies.
You head all the way back to Emerald Isle just for a wee batch of grain or a bit of keg tubing?
No, you moronic waste of liver. Dublin, California. I go to Hoptech.
For 30 years, Hoptech in Dublin, California has been supplying homebrewers with malt extract, fresh grains, hops, spices and sugars, hop oils and extracts, and much more. Hoptech is one of the first homebrew supply shops on the internet and is proud to offer award-winning beer kits, both online and in their store, where they offer a 10% discount to all AHA members. The store is open every day except Wednesday, or shop online at hoptech.com anytime. Hoptech is run by passionate, award-winning brewers who live, love, and travel for beer and bring their experience to the store for you.
If you don't want to visit Dublin, just call toll-free 800-379-4677 or go to hoptech.com.
Visit Hoptech today in Dublin, California and at hoptech.com.
Hey, what are you doing, man?
Writing a review of WLP 400.
What? You're reviewing yeast?
Yeah. White Labs has home brewer reviews of all their strains. Are you new to these interwebs? Check it out.
That's awesome.
White Labs, your source for great yeast, invites all brewers to visit whitelabs.com to read and write your own reviews of all their yeast strains. Get real-world tips and tricks from other brewers who have made the most of their vials and post your own experiences. It's another way White Labs brings you closer to the best yeast on the planet.
And send. There you go.
You misspelled flocculate, dude.
What? Mother...
White Labs. It's all in the vial.
Organic ingredients. Fresh, clean, good for you, good for the planet. Seven Bridges has the best selection of organic ingredients, including over 27 varieties of organic hops at breworganic.com. Join their mailing list for special deals and regular updates. They've been brewing organic and serving organic brewers for 13 years. They can help you brew great organic beer. And Seven Bridges is the proud host of the 4th Annual National Organic Brewing Challenge, the only BJCP-sanctioned nationwide brewing competition just for organic beers. Take the challenge this fall for a chance to win great prizes, including stainless steel brew kettles and organic brewing ingredients. This year, the challenge will be judged in 2 locations: on the East Coast at Capital City Brewing in Arlington, Virginia, and on the West Coast at Gordon Biersch in San Jose, California. For complete details, visit breworganic.com/competition. Seven Bridges is cooperatively owned in awesome Santa Cruz, California. Everyone there is dedicated to great beer and people-friendly business practices. They offer environmentally friendly, fair trade, and fair wage brewing products whenever possible. Seven Bridges, breworganic.com.
This is www.thebrewingnetwork.com.
Sit down next to it, grab yourself a paper towel, and watch those yeast have sex.
You're listening to the Brewing Network.
Like the Lance Armstrong of the beer world. Except for that nut thing.
This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're just about done with our live Q&A show. We do these about every third show, so if you got your questions, you'll want to check it out, check our schedule, and when we let you know we're doing the live shows, you can hook up with the brewingnetwork.com, check out the chat now and listen live, and you can get in there and ask questions, and we'll answer live on the air. All right. Last couple questions, and then we're out of here.
All right. Jacob in the chat room has a chill proofing question. Mm-hmm. Says, I get my beer to -1C and it gets hazy. After 10 days at 4C or 3 days at 10C, the haze disappears. Is it precipitating and settling to the bottom, or is it dissolving back into solution? And
both.
It's both. Okay. Is it best to do this in the fermenter or in bottles to get rid of this haze? To know is this follow-up.
I guess if you intend to chill-proof your beer, it'd be best to do it in the fermenter.
In the bulk, because then you can transfer off of anything that's settled out. Avoid getting shaken back up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and is filtering something that's going to get rid of chill haze? That won't happen. It's too small for that.
Right.
Okay.
If you filter it fine enough, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. But you filter out the flavor too.
Yeah. Take you 4 days to run it through.
Yeah. Go ahead and chill proof it, and then rack off to get it clear.
Well, it depends on also how long things have been. I mean, sometimes it could be, a yeast haze as well, and
right.
Hard to be sure. If it's a yeast haze, you can filter out the yeast.
That's what I was going to say.
You might try doing a 5 micron filtration or 7 micron filtration, something like that, and see if the beer brightens up at all. Then you have larger particles at play.
Yeah, I was going to say if you use something like PVC, which is good for chill haze, or PVP. Can't remember the initials, but polyclar is real good for chill haze. Then you could filter that out and get rid of all your haze that way. The polyclar would help bind the very small haze particles to the plastic, and then you would use a larger mesh or micron filter with that. Filter out the polyclar and not filter out any of your flavor compounds, but you would get rid of the haze that way.
All right, and then a question about Flanders Red came through. Jamil, what's your current opinion on using wooden dowels inserted into drilled stoppers to add both oak flavor and a little oxygen over time into something like a Flanders Red?
Yeah, I just don't like the wooden dowel thing at all. If you want to add oak, I would just toss in oak cubes, because the wooden dowel is just giving you like very, very little oak flavor. That's not effective in that. I think.
It's not enough. Oh, because he mentioned that he thought it might be too much oak flavor, but.
No, and those dowels don't tend to be, proper toasted oak, and they tend to be, it depends on a lot of different factors. And I think, using a good, barrel grade toasted oak cube, I think you get the flavor you're looking for. And, going down to the Home Depot and getting a dowel and all that, I don't know. But, you could be using I guess you could be using a barrel grade, dowel from like, one of the wine supply shops. That's a possibility. And then as far as oxygen goes, I'm more and more of a fan of, slower oxygen and longer periods of time. Now, I used to do it quick and get decent results, but now I like to just take my time and do the oxygen much slower. So I use just a Carboy cap, one of those little hoods, and that tends to be leaky enough for the amount of oxygen I want.
The hoods I've seen all have the spout coming out of it for like a racking cane. Are you talking about leaving that spout open?
I cap them. Or I'll either put like an airlock in there, and the other one is capped.
Okay,
that's still plenty leaky.
And how much is over time? We talking 2 years here?
Like a year.
A year. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll do a smaller carboy, like a 5 gallon, and I'll fill it up to the neck, so I only have a small surface area.
Okay.
Because I think the other things, it's producing too much acetic otherwise. I'm just getting, real vinegary.
Too vinegary.
Yeah. And, that's the interesting thing. A lot of the Flanders that people have been giving me to taste, they've just been reeking of vinegar. So people are getting too much oxygen. The Brett, when it gets a lot of oxygen, it starts producing the acetic acid, and you end up with a real vinegar character. A little bit is appropriate for Flanders, but it shouldn't be, like salad dressing. It shouldn't be that vinegary. And you got to learn to. People are like, oh, it's just great, and I'm like, you got to learn the difference between like a lactic sourness and acetic sourness. They're two really different things. Just because it's sour doesn't necessarily mean it was well done.
Okay.
So you got to, be careful about the amount of oxygen that you're letting in.
Okay. And Palmer, how do you pronounce the D word that we discussed at the beginning of the program?
Dick?
I pronounce it diacetyl.
Diacetyl. But that wasn't the right way we were saying, is it?
Diacetyl?
Diacetyl. Yeah. And actually, our final question really is, when does the yeast book come out, Jamil? Do you have a date, or do you know?
GABF.
Okay.
September
16th will be that Thursday.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be there signing books, so hopefully they'll have a stack.
Great.
If not, I'll be sitting there drinking. So
signing cleavage.
Yeah, one way or
and
another.
telling people where the bathroom is.
Yeah, come on by and press your breasts together in front of me, and I'll sign.
That's what you're signing.
Yeah, so Palmer, here's a little story to wrap up with. Palmer and I are sitting there signing Brewing Classic Styles. And we at times we'll get like a pretty good line of people showing up to have books signed. And then other times it's like everybody's off drinking or whatever. They've got their book signed, and some woman came up, walking straight up towards us. And actually, we had a couple of people do this. Walk straight up towards us like they know us. Yeah. And they're like, where's the bathroom? And we're like, well, come back over this way.
Oh, man.
They got the big poster board that says authors signing books. We got a stack of books. We got pens in our hand. We look like the picture on the wall,
That's fucked up.
Where's the bathroom?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a couple of people who did that, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't just one. It was maybe three or so.
That was the Saturday crowd, as I remember.
It was one of them. I don't know.
Yeah. Palmer just has that union look about him,
Right. Yeah.
All right. Wow.
Yeah. We'll have to work on our don't speak English.
Right.
Yeah.
For this year. All right. Well, another great show, another great Q&A. Make sure you catch that next time. You'll want to sign up for the Brewing Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Justin posts that stuff out there and says, hey, show's coming up, and you get a chance to join in with us and have a lot of fun with us. Also, don't forget to check out our sponsor, BlickmanEngineering.com. They pay for the show, so you don't have to. Also, check out the Brewing Network store, thebrewingnetwork.com. All sorts of goodies in there, and there's these great Brew Strong shirts and hats and all that other good gear. Books. We'll have the yeast book in there. We'll have an opportunity to have them signed if you want to pick up a yeast book and get it signed by Chris White and myself. And other goodies. And make sure that, as always, you're out there brewing lots of good beer and sharing with your neighbors, having a good time, and all that other stuff. And we'll see you at the next event, which I guess is GABF. You have any other events coming up before then?
I will be at the Eat Real event in Oakland. The Brewing Network staff will be down there at Eat Real at Jack London in Oakland.
All right.
Directing people to the bathroom.
Yeah, the bathroom's over there.
Yeah.
All right. Until later. Remember, I love you, random citizen. Brew strong.
And keep reaching for the bars.